Hello, I'm Ginny from Electrifying.com.
And I'm Tom.
And I'm Nikki, and it's probably no surprise that we are all fans of electric cars.
Yeah, they're quiet, clean, nippy, they cost less to run. We like all the tangible day-to-day benefits, but also the idea that they're actually a little bit more sustainable than petrol or diesel, especially if you juice them up on green energy. Also, they come in a range of colours and make science fiction noises.
You really focused on that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Anyway, besides all of the good stuff, we do appreciate that actually it's quite daunting making that switch. So how do you decide if it's right for your lifestyle and actually makes financial sense?
We're here to help you decide if making the switch makes sense for you.
And to do that, we're going to switch things up and ask you the questions. So if you're ready, it's question time.
And this first question is actually a really simple one. How do you use your car? And what we mean by this is, what type of driving do you do? What's your lifestyle like? Where do you live? All really important factors to consider.
Let's face it, if you're battering up and down the motorway network doing 50,000 miles a year, then a pure electric car probably isn't right for you just yet. But for the rest of us, I think there's probably an electric car that will suit our needs. If you think about all the things we've been testing, there are SUVs, there are estate cars, city cars, small cars. There's even fast stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you can think of it, if you can name it, there is probably an electrified version of it.
There's vans!
Yes, there are electric vans too. I don't know why you're so excited about them.
I love vans.
But there are electric vans. But it is worth noting they tend to be more expensive than the petrol or diesel counterparts. However, there are ways around that, but more on that a little bit later. Most people do tend to do lower mileage though, local journeys, local commutes on a really regular basis, and then every so often they'll do a long distance journey.
Yeah, like going on holiday or, going to see people.
Exactly, going to see your great aunt, going off down to Cornwall, wherever you're going, but you're not doing those on a regular basis. So actually, where you do those long distance journeys, it's okay to use the public charging network, which we better point out is actually improving quite a lot at the moment. So if you do have to charge for half an hour every 2.5 hours, it's not too much of a hassle.
Basically, you end up being constrained more by your bladder capacity than your battery capacity.
Maybe true, but too much information.
Oh, I just speak the truth.
On to the next question.
How many miles do you think we drive on average every day here in the UK? I know you can't really answer that, but what I'm about to tell you is going to surprise you, trust me, because it's around 20 miles. See, you're surprised, aren't you? Now, loads of us get a little bit scared by the idea that an electric car might not be able to take us as far on a full charge as a petrol or a diesel car can on a full tank of fuel. But in reality, if you make a note of the mileage you do and the journeys you take over a month, you may well be very surprised. And what that relatively low mileage that we actually drive means is that most modern electric cars are capable of dealing with most of our journeys. That range that you have in a petrol or a diesel car, it's great, but it's probably not needed most of the time. And don't forget, if you have home charging, then you can plug your car in overnight, and every time you leave the house you have a full battery, which, trust me, is brilliant. It also means you never have to visit a petrol station again. Unless it's to buy flowers on your wedding anniversary. I see you. Or in my case, chocolate.
Now, the ideal situation is that you have somewhere at home where you can park a car and install a home wall box. Now, this is the cheapest option for charging and the most convenient.
It also helps if you work for a company that gives you somewhere to plug in while you're actually at work, and businesses are being incentivised under the Workplace Charge Scheme to install charging points. Good fact, the energy that you get there is tax-free.
True, but don't be put off if, like me, you don't have access to those perks because, well, like we've discussed before, actually most commuters aren't doing hundreds and hundreds of miles every day, and you'll probably work out that one charge per week could be enough for you. You can do that on a public charger and not worry about not having access to off-street parking.
No, it is not as convenient as at-home charging, but you do get used to it, and eventually it becomes less hassle than going and filling up with smelly petrol.
Very true. Also remember, you can charge when you're out and about. So I tend to look for parking spaces where there are chargers at my gym or at the shops, or when I go to the supermarket. I do occasionally go to the gym.
And one thing to remember is you don't have to stay with the car while it is charging. And I've got some really good facts here. There are charging stations popping up all over the UK at the moment, and there are actually more places to charge your car than there are fuel stations. Isn't that a good fact?
That is a good fact. Well done.
It's not perfect, and it is going to take some getting used to, but improvements are coming fast.
Now, as we've already mentioned, electric cars are currently a little bit more expensive than their petrol or diesel counterparts. But the good news is that there are ways that you can get an electric car for less. We're talking about grants.
Yes, we like the sound of free money at Electrifying. Now, there is a plug-in car grant that is available for up to £2,500. Now, to qualify for that, you must be buying a pure electric car that costs £35,000 or less. It's fine if you add options onto that particular car, but as long as the list price is £35,000 or less, then you'll qualify.
And there are also great incentives for businesses and for employees to run electric cars too. The company gets big tax benefits, and the employee will also pay far less benefit in kind tax. So getting an electric company car can make all kinds of sense.
Well, you're very well informed, Jen, but do you ever think you should maybe get out a bit more?
Yeah, quite a lot, really. But oi, this is the important stuff.
It is very important stuff. Carry on, don't let me stop you.
Because if you are a business owner or an employee with access to a company car, these schemes could literally save you thousands of pounds every single year. And that's before you get into the possible benefits of salary sacrifice schemes, which of course are open to all employees.
Yeah, no, it's very true. Actually, I do have a little stat that I think you would like, Ginny. So generally speaking, on average, a mid-sized petrol car will cost around 15p per mile to run. But if you compare that to a equivalent electric car, you could be paying as little as 3.5p per mile or less if you actually use a clever electric tariff when you charge at home.
That is a very impressive stat, Nikki. Thank you very much. And you say that it's me that needs to get out more. And we're back at the beginning again. Look, we hope that we've managed to convince you that some of the things that you may have heard about pure electric cars,
like they're expensive, they're really hard to charge, they're strange to use, and they don't go very far, might not actually be true.
Yeah, look, we're under no illusions that going pure electric is going to suit absolutely everybody. But what we're trying to say is just keep an open mind, dig into those lease and PCP deals, and maybe even speak to your boss and your accountant.
And also keep an eye on the used electric market. Look, things are changing so quickly, and we promise you, switching to electric is not as tricky as you think.
Now, if you found this video useful, good news, because there are more. We've teamed up with our friends at Octopus to answer all the big questions around switching to electric.